G'day guys, today we're going to be taking a look at some classic Apple One emulation on the GB300 and SF2000 consoles. We aren't going to be emulating it directly on the handheld, instead we'll be using an Apple One emulator written for the Commodore 64. You will need multi-core custom firmware installed on either of these devices if you want to do this yourself. We will be focusing on the GB300 today, but the steps and performance are identical for the SF2000. Let's get into it. We're over on our Windows 10 PC now. We just want to go to Google and type in Green Delicious Emulator. We want to go to the top link from CSDB. On this page, you'll see two files under download. The first is the Commodore 64 disk image containing the Apple One emulator, and the second is the user guide. If you're interested in having a play around with the Apple One emulator yourself, I would recommend checking out the Green Delicious user guide. For now, we're just going to download the D64 image, which is the top link. Once it's finished downloading, we can close off Chrome and open up our downloads folder. Inside, we should have our Apple One.d64 file. Next, I'm just going to insert the microSD card from my GB300 into my USB SD reader, pop it into the computer. First, we want to copy our Apple One D64 file. Just going to click on it, go Control C. Next, we'll open up our SD card. Want to navigate to ROMs. Again, you do need to have multi-core installed. If you don't have all of these folders in your ROMs folder, then you probably don't have it installed. We want to open up our C64 folder, not C64F or FC, just the plain C64. And we'll paste it in here. Once that's done, we'll click back again, and double click make romlist.bat. We should see our C64 Apple One.d64.gba mentioned in the list. Press any key to continue, and that's all we have to do on our Windows computer. We can safely eject our microSD card, and we'll pop it back into our GB300 and turn it on. We're back on our GB300, and to load the Apple One emulator, we want to go down to User ROMs, and run C64 Apple One.d64. It can take a little while to load, so be patient. Once it's finished loading, you'll get to a screen with a flashing Apple cursor and a backslash. The first thing you're going to want to do is make a save state to drastically increase future loading times. Just press Start and Select as normal, and go down to Save. The next time you load the Apple One C64 image, as soon as you see the blue C64 screen, you can load the state. So this is the Apple One terminal. Pressing select will bring up the on-screen keyboard. From here, you can use the D-pad to move the cursor around and press the Y button to select your choice. Pressing select again will close the on-screen keyboard. This Apple One emulator does have a built-in disk loader with a few ready-to-run Apple programs. To get into the loader, we just want to open the on-screen keyboard by pressing select, go across to F7, hold down the Y button for a few seconds. In the background, you should see the loader open. You can see it's there. Before we press select to close it, you'll see F7 is still toggled on. We want to press Y once more to untoggle it. Press select to close the on-screen keyboard. At the disk loader menu, we want to press F1 to select load. Next, we can simply press enter to get a list of the programs. To load a program, simply type in the file name and press enter. We'll start with lunarlander.300. Once you've entered the file name, press enter, and press select to close the on-screen keyboard. At the bottom, it should say loading. Once it says OK at the very bottom, it has finished loading the program into RAM. We'll open up the on-screen keyboard once more, press return once to go back to the main disk loading menu, and press return again to go back to the Apple One terminal. From here, we simply have to run the program from the correct address. The address you want to run the program from is actually the file name extension. So for LunarLander, it was .300, which means start at RAM address 300. For Blackjack, it was a lot higher. So press select to bring up the on-screen keyboard. We want to type in 300, which is the address. Again, some of the programs are at a different address, so you type in the correct address, 300, followed by the letter R, which stands for run. Once you've entered that, press return again, and press select to close the on-screen keyboard. And here is our LunarLander program typing itself out on the screen. We'll start by burning 30 units. So 30. You can see our new velocity, height, and fuel remaining. The goal is to safely land. It's not as easy as you first think, but once you've done it once, you can just use these same numbers again. We ran out of fuel, and now you can see we are slowly crashing. And I did crash on the moon, and apparently I just creamed a 29 megabuck lander. We'll type in no and we'll try a different program. Again, to load a different program, press select, hold down F7. Make sure F7 isn't toggled on. You can see it isn't. I think we'll try Blackjack next. The extension for this one is E2B3, which will also be the address we run the program from in the Apple One terminal. Once it says OK, it's finished loading. Bring up the on-screen keyboard, press return once, and press it again to go back to terminal. We want to run the program from E2B3. So E2B3, R for run, press enter. Once you've ran the program from the address, we'll be in Apple One Basic, and we just want to type in RUN and enter. And now you can see we are in Blackjack. So it wants our name. We'll do SJSL just to make it easier. I want to bet 100. Not too sure. Just press enter. I have 3 of hearts. I do want another card. So yes. 8 of hearts, which is 11. So I'll do one more. And that should be 17. So I'll go no more cards. You got 4 of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, which is 12. And I won. The games on the Apple One are pretty simple, but it is a computer from the 70s after all. You can obviously program your own Apple One games in either Apple One Assembly, which I have done a video on, so if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. Or you can obviously use Apple One Basic, which is what Blackjack was written in. There are a lot of guides and tutorials on Apple One Basic online, and it is very, very easy to use. There is one issue with this Apple One emulator, and that is you cannot access RAM addresses 00 or 01. In the Green Delicious user manual, the developer does go on to explain why that is. It is an issue with the Commodore 64 and how the Apple One RAM addresses are mapped directly to the Commodore 64's RAM. I'll exit out of this and we'll see what happens when we try and access those addresses. To quit Blackjack, simply do the bet as 0. So we're on the Apple One terminal now, and we'll go to address 01, and we'll go run, press enter, and you can see it does lock it up. On-screen keyboard works, we can't enter any keys. Thankfully, we can load our save state, and it does bring us right back to the terminal. Having the Apple One emulator on your GB300 or SF2000 isn't amazing by any means, but it is just another neat little thing that your cheap handheld can do. I think that'll do it for today. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.